Today's video is for new crocheters. If you're a new crocheter, I'm going to be giving you 8 different tips that can make your crochet journey much easier. If you follow these tips, you're going to find that your journey is not as frustrating and you're most likely to not give up on your crochet journey. So if you're a new crocheter, definitely watch this video till the very end for some gems that you might have never heard about. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kauthar. If this is your first time here, and I'm Nigeria's crochet queen. On this channel, you're going to find all things crochet. I talk about crochet, becoming a better crocheter in general, and I also talk about how you can make money from your crochet skill. So if you're a lover of crochet, if you're a fan of crochet, you should click on the subscribe button right now, because everything on my channel is definitely going to interest you as a crochet lover. Again, today we're talking about 8 different tips for new crocheters, so let's just dive into the video. Okay, if you're new to the world of crochet, maybe you just picked up a hook and yarn and you're just starting to learn what this interesting craft is, these are some tips that will help you on your journey. Okay, and I'm giving you these tips in no particular order, so number 1 is not more important than number 8. I'm just pointing out the tips in random orders. Okay, now the very first tip I have for you is start your crochet journey with a bulky yarn. All right, in the world of crochet, there are different weights of yarn. Of course, you definitely know what a yarn is if you've been interested in crochet. Yarn is that thing that we crochet with, and there are different thicknesses of yarn. Okay, if you're new, it is very helpful if you use a very thick yarn compared to using a thin yarn. This is because the thicker your yarn, the bigger your projects will be, and the easier it will be for you to see what you're doing, which is so important if you're new to crochet, because crochet involves a lot of counting, a lot of looking at what you're doing and making sure you're putting the hook in the right position. So if you're working with a thin yarn, it's going to be hard for you to count, it's going to be hard for you to see. You might even miss out some stitches because you just did not see them. This is something that I see a lot with my new crochet students, and that's why I'm recommending this tip. It is so important to start your journey with a bulky yarn. Whenever you're going to buy yarn, just look out for anyone that is thick, that has a thick strand. That way you're going to be able to see what you're doing clearly when you're crocheting with it. Still under yarn, tip number 2 is for you to use a bright colored yarn. Honestly, this might seem like a no-brainer, but let me tell you, I don't know, some people might, maybe you have somebody that gave you yarn when you said you were interested in crochet, but crocheting with a dark colored yarn can really be off-putting, and I'm not even kidding you. Even me, as a crocheter with over 15 years experience, crocheting with dark colors is not my favorite thing, because you especially need to be in a very bright space for you to clearly see what you're doing. And if you're new, okay, remember I said crocheting involves a lot of counting, a lot of looking and putting your hook in the right spot. Using a dark colored yarn just makes it a little bit harder for you to see all of those things very, very clearly, right? So if you have to choose, you're in the yarn store, you have to choose what yarns to begin with. Go for the light blues, go for the light pinks, the light greens, the light yellows, go for the lighter colored yarns, so that again you can clearly see what you're doing. Do not start your journey with a black yarn, it's going to be a pain. That is my second tip for you. Now my third tip is almost related to everything else I've shared, and which is you need to use a big crochet hook, and it is all for the same reason. Okay, the bigger your crochet hook, the bigger your crochet fabric will be, and of course, like I said, the bigger your crochet fabric is, the easier it will be for you to see what you're doing. As a new crocheter, we don't want things stressing you out. We don't want you missing stitches, because if you're missing out stitches when you're crocheting, your fabric is not going to turn out as it should. Okay, so one thing that can make you miss out on stitches is if you cannot see the stitches. Of course, if you can't see the stitches, you won't remember to work into it. That is why my first 3 tips are about making sure that everything you're using makes it easy for you to see what you're doing. So you need to use a thick yarn if you're starting, it makes it easy. You need to use a bright colored yarn, and you also should use a big crochet hook. The bigger your crochet hook, the bigger your crochet fabric will be, the bigger it will be for you to see what you're doing. The smaller your crochet hook, the smaller your crochet fabric will be, and it might not be as easy to see what you're working with. Of course, this is not to say you should never use a different weight of yarn, or you should never use dark colored yarns or small crochet hooks. I'm just giving these tips to those crocheters who are still new in the world of crochet. As you get more comfortable with crochet, as you make different things, you're going to get used to the crochet stitches. You're going to be able to count even easily. So At that point, you can work with other varieties of yarns, other thicknesses, other colors, because you already know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm moving on to my fourth tip. And my fourth tip for you is to work on simple rectangular projects. Now, honestly, no matter what it is, like what I'm discovering about life is there are usually like easy things and harder things. Like some things are easy, some things are a little bit harder. If you're new, you want to start with easy projects. And again, that seems like a no-brainer, because if you start your journey with something very hard, with a hard project, it's going to be so discouraging if you're not able to finish the project, or you're experiencing a lot of hiccups. You're just going to feel like, I don't think this crochet thing is for me. It's so hard. And I do not want that. I want you to experience the joy, the calm that crochet brings. So you need to start your crochet journey with simple crochet projects. Start with rectangular projects. So rectangular projects are usually simple to work on. And an example actually is this beautiful dress I'm wearing. As lovely as it looks, as complicated as you might think it is a simple project, because it is just me. I just crocheted two different rectangles and I sewed them together. If you're feeling adventurous, you like to tackle this project, I have a pattern that you can follow. Just check the link in the description box below for the spot dress pattern. Easy to follow, and of course get my guidance on your project in a support group if you go ahead to get the pattern. So definitely check the description box down below if you'd love to crochet this spot dress I'm wearing. So yeah, simple projects will do it for you, because once you finish your project, you get that high, you're so hyped up, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, and you want to tackle the next project. Of course, that's how you're going to get better, by working on different projects. But if you work on one project and you're not even able to finish it, you just have so many questions, you're just confused, honestly, you're not going to be motivated, you're not going to be gingered to want to try another project, because even the one you're working on, you've not been able to find a headway. I also have another video that I posted previously where I was sharing 5 simple crochet projects suitable for beginners. I'm going to link that video for you guys in the description box if you want to check it out. Now, the 5th tip I have for you, if you're new to the world of crochet, definitely make time to crochet as often as you can, because you already know the saying, practice makes perfect. Even if practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes progress. So the more you crochet, the better you're going to get at it. Trust me, even if you're just crocheting a couple of rows a day, even if you're crocheting 1 row per day, the more you do it, the better you're going to get, the better your hand movement is going to be, the faster you're going to get, the more comfortable you're going to get with crocheting. So yeah, get that. Crochet as often as you can. Do not crochet one time and then leave it till like next 6 months before you crochet again. You're not going to become familiar with the skill that way. 6th tip I have for you is to use stitch markers. Oh my goodness, stitch markers are so small, but they can literally change everything for you. Because like I've been saying, crochet deals with a lot of counting, a lot of making sure you do not miss stitches, and that is what stitch markers are literally there for, to help you identify stitches, so that when you're working, you're always going to say, okay, this is my first stitch, I need to remember to work in here. This is my last stitch, I need to remember to work in here. Stitch markers are your friends. Make sure you have stitch markers. And I don't know if you are in Nigeria and you're like looking for places to shop crochet supplies. I have a video where I talked about different places you can shop crochet supplies from in Nigeria, which I'll link in the description box. You can watch that video. You need stitch markers, trust me. If you're new to the world of crochet, stitch markers are going to make your journey so easy, because it will help you prevent the big mistake that a lot of new crocheters make, which is skipping stitches. If you skip stitches, your crochet project will not come out the way it's supposed to come out. It's going to be wonky, the sides are going to be uneven, the sides will not be straight, and you're just going to be wondering, oh my goodness, what's happening? Why is my project curving inwards? Why is my project curving outwards? Why is my project not a proper rectangle? It's because you're missing stitches. And yeah, if you use stitch markers, you're not going to miss stitches, because the stitch markers will help you identify the stitches. The 7th tip, this is just whenever you're crocheting something and you're feeling stuck, I don't think I'm getting it, I'm just confused, oh, I don't know what I should do next. Take a break, sis. Just take a break, come back to it tomorrow, come back to it the day after. Just take a break. Honestly, taking a break just does wonders, because by the time you're coming back to your project, you're coming back with a clear mind, with a clear head, and you're going to be able to see the project from another angle that you weren't looking at it before. Do not just take this fact, even if you don't think it's going to help, just do it. you're confused. Oh my goodness, this thing is overwhelming. I don't even know what to do. Sometimes you might even be asking somebody and they are trying to explain, trying to clarify, trying to shed more light, and you're still not getting it. Just take a break and come back to it the day after. You're going to say that you're able to figure it out because your head is clear now and the overwhelm isn't there anymore. And we've come to the last tip that I have for you today, and that tip is to count your stitches. Some things, when you hear some advice, it seems like, oh, that's like an extra step. I'm not going to do it. It makes my work slower. But you're going to be saving yourself time because, again, in crochet, the stitch count is so important. If you're supposed to have 90 stitches and at the end of the day you have 85 stitches, your project is going to be off. It will not look the way it's supposed to look. Now, if you had been counting your stitches, maybe at the end of every row, you would have quickly picked it up if your stitch count is wrong, rather than finishing the entire project before realizing that the stitch count is wrong. Because if you finish the entire project and you realize that your stitch count is off, you've already finished the project, you're going to either have to frog or abandon the project if it does not look if it doesn't look like what you want it to look like, which means you'd have wasted time, you'd have wasted energy, you'd have wasted yarn and all that. So just take that extra step to count your stitches. If you're new, you're not going to be able to pick up. So for me, with experience, the more you crochet, you're going to be able to pick it up if your stitches are incomplete, because you notice that your project is looking funny. But if you're new, you might not notice quickly that your project is looking funny until you've gone far, which is why it is important for you to count your stitches, count it at the end of every row to make sure that the stitch count is what it is supposed to be before you proceed to the next row. And of course, when you count your stitches, you notice that it is not the right count. It means that you immediately want to fix it before going ahead. Okay, that is something that will really help you. It will help you avoid too much frogging. It will help you to not make projects that you'll not be able to use because it didn't turn out right. Okay, so I hope that these 8 tips are going to come in very helpful for you, very handy for you in your crochet journey. You definitely want to share this video with any one of your friends who is new to the world of crochet. They're going to find all of the tips helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check the description box below for all of the helpful links. Remember, you can get the pattern to this beautiful sport dress that I'm wearing. You can also watch my other helpful videos for new crocheters. You're going to find all the links in the description box below, and I cannot wait to see you in my very next video. Bye.